My child, stop right where you are. Do not scroll past this message. Give me just 2 minutes of your time and I promise you will not regret staying here. I am stepping into your atmosphere right now because your spirit is exhausted from fighting a battle that was never yours to carry alone. Look at me right now. Something shifted in the unseen realm the exact second your eyes found these words. You did not stumble across this video by accident. Heaven aligned time itself to bring your weary heart to this precise moment. I guided your hand to pause because I heard the quiet cry you buried deep inside your chest late last night. You have been carrying a heavy weight. It is a quiet guilt. It whispers to you when the world goes dark and the room grows still. You look back at your past mistakes. You feel a sharp pain in your soul. You remember the doors that slammed shut in your face. And in the quiet corners of your mind, you have come to a terrifying conclusion. You believe you broke everything. You believe you ruined the beautiful plan I designed for your life. You think you messed up so badly that even my grace cannot repair the damage. Hear me right now in the deepest place of your heart. I am your father, and I am telling you that you are wrong. What you think broke everything was not your downfall. What you call a catastrophic failure was just the place where my healing started. You did not ruin my plan for your life. My child, you do not have that kind of power because my sovereignty is far bigger than your mistakes. Breathe deeply right now. Let your shoulders drop. Let the tension leave your body. If you feel me speaking directly to your heart in this moment, write, "God is rebuilding me" in the comments. Write those words as an act of faith between your soul and my presence. Anchor your agreement right here before we go any deeper into this message. I know the exact moment when the knot in your chest started to form. It happened when you watched something you loved fall apart right in front of your eyes. You tried so hard to hold the pieces together with your own hands. You prayed desperately while the foundation crumbled anyway because you could not stop the fall. And when the dust settled, you took all the blame and placed it on your own shoulders. You convinced yourself that you failed. You thought you should have been stronger. You looked at the ruins and you wept in silence. And as you sat alone in the dark, you whispered to yourself that you had ruined your destiny forever. You felt so ashamed that you stopped asking me for big things. You shrank your prayers because you felt unworthy of my best. You began to pray small prayers because you felt like a failure sitting in ashes. You told yourself that you would just settle for surviving day by day. You watched other people step into their blessings and you felt a painful sting inside your heart. You wondered why. My hands seemed so active in their lives while sitting completely still in yours. You assumed my silence meant that I was finished with you. Look at me, my beloved child. My silence was never my absence. I was standing right beside you in the middle of that dark room when you buried your face in your hands. I saw every tear that slipped down your cheek while you sat on the floor thinking nobody cared. Not a single drop was lost or forgotten by my heart. I was holding you when you felt like you were falling apart into broken pieces. I want to reveal a profound truth to you today that will set your soul free. What you called a terrible tragedy was actually my divine interrupt. You thought the wall fell on you to crush you, but in truth I allowed that wall to collapse so I could protect you from an invisible trap further down that path. You saw an ending, but I saw a necessary rescue from a future that would have destroyed your spirit. I saw the hidden motives of people you trusted completely with your heart. I saw the hidden dangers in rooms you were desperately begging me to enter. You cried because I locked those doors and you thought I was withholding good things from you. But my child, I was shielding you from a disaster while you were only looking at what was right in front of your eyes. I closed those doors in my mercy because I loved you too much to let you be destroyed. You have been mourning over a structure that was built on sandy ground. You wanted me to patch up the cracks of a foundation that was already doomed to fail. But I am not a God who puts patches on broken systems. I am a God who tears down the unsafe walls so I can build an unshakable kingdom inside your life. What you thought broke everything was simply me clearing the ground for your real blueprint. Do you feel that strange stirring in your chest right now as I speak these words? That subtle warmth spreading through your heart? is not confusion. That is your spirit recognizing the voice of your Creator calling you back to peace. The enemy wanted you to stay trapped in a cage of regret for the rest of your days. He wanted you to focus on your scars, so you would never see your crown. The adversary whispered to you that your best years were behind you in the ruins. He told you that you were damaged goods, and that my calling on your life had expired. But I am declaring over you today that the enemy is a liar. My promises over your life were written in my own blood, and they do not have an expiration date. Your past mistakes did not alter my divine calendar by a single second. I call this season the protective ruin. Remember what I have named it right now, so you can hold on to it when doubt returns. What looked like a destruction of your life was actually a construction of your character. I had to let the false version of your strength break, so you would finally learn how to lean on mine. You could not carry the weight of your future while trying to rely on your own effort. Think back to all those nights you lay awake, running scenarios through your mind. You replayed every conversation and every mistake over and over until your mind was completely exhausted. You tried to figure out where you went wrong and how you could fix what was already shattered, but you were trying to solve a spiritual transformation while using human logic and earthly anxiety. Human wisdom will always tell you that a broken vessel is useless and ruined. The world throws away what is cracked and seeks out what is polished and pristine. But I do. My greatest work through broken vessels that have surrendered their pride. A vessel that has never been broken remains closed and full of itself. But a broken vessel allows my light to shine through every single crack for the world to see. You are not a ruined project sitting on a shelf in my workshop. You are my carefully formed masterpiece, and I am still holding the chisel in my hands. Every painful moment of cutting away was not done in anger or judgment. It was done with the ultimate tenderness of a sculptor who sees the glorious image hidden beneath the rough stone. I am shaping you for a glory you cannot yet fathom. Stop apologizing for the season that broke you into pieces. Stop carrying the shame of a battle that was designed to forge your spiritual authority. You survived the fire that the enemy intended to consume you with. You are still standing here today listening to my voice because I kept my hand over your life through every single flame. You were scorched, but you were not destroyed. I want you to pause right here and let this truth sink into your soul. You did not ruin my plan for your life. You merely reached the end of your own plan so mine could finally begin. The blueprint I drew for you before the foundation of the world is still intact. Not a single line has been erased by your stumbles or your failures. Stay with me for just a little longer, because I am about to take you deeper into this revelation. I am going to show you where I was standing when everything fell apart around you. I am going to reveal what I was doing in the dark while you were weeping on the floor. Do not look away now, because the key to your complete freedom is waiting in the very next moment of this message. Let your mind settle into the quiet peace that I am pouring over you right now. The heavy, dark cloud of guilt and self-reproach is beginning to lift from your thoughts. You are stepping out of the graveyard of yesterday and stepping onto the threshold of your restoration. Breathe in my peace and let go of the past, because I am making all things new inside you right now. I see the quiet places where you hide your pain from the eyes of the world. I saw you in the bathroom when you turned on the water so no one could hear you cry. You pressed your face into a towel and folded yourself into the smallest shape possible on the cold floor. You were holding your chest because the aching inside your spirit felt far too heavy for words. You thought you were completely alone in that dark room. But my child, I was sitting right beside you on that floor. You have been fighting battles in silence for so long while pretending to be strong for everyone else around you. You laugh with your friends around the dinner table, and yet you feel like the most isolated person in the room. You smile for your family while quietly breaking into pieces on the inside every single night. You are tired in your physical body, but you are even more exhausted in your spirit. You are so weary of being the stable one who holds everything together. Do you feel that particular heaviness sitting behind your sternum right now as I speak? That tight knot in your chest never seems to fully lift, no matter how much sleep you get. You wake up in the middle of the night and your mind instantly races with overwhelming worries. You replay every single failure, and you wonder how much longer you can keep walking. My child, That weight was never meant for your frail shoulders to carry alone. I saw you when you stared at the dark ceiling for hours in total silence. I saw you when you whispered a desperate prayer that felt like it vanished into thin air. I saw you when you looked at your life and felt a deep sting of disappointment. You felt deeply ashamed because you thought you let me down and ruined your future. You believed that I had turned my face away from you in complete disgust. Hear me right now with the deepest part of your heart. I never turned away from you. Not for a single second did my gaze leave your fragile spirit during that storm. When the world judged your brokenness, I wrapped my loving arms around your trembling body. When others walked away from your ruins, I stepped closer into your darkest night. I counted every single tear that fell from your eyes, because every drop was precious to me. Pause right where you are and take a deep breath into your lungs. Let the heavy tension leave your shoulders as my peace washes over your mind. If your heart is receiving this comfort right now, write, "I am not ruined" in the comments below. Write those words as a solemn declaration of faith that your story is not over. Anchor your spirit in my truth before we step into what I am preparing next. My child, you have been asking me why my voice felt so distant for so long. You thought my silence meant that I was angry with you or that I had abandoned your cause. But I need to reveal a vital secret to you about the unseen realm right now. The silence you experienced was not my absence or my lack of care. The enemy has been filling your atmosphere with a constant static noise to drown out my voice. The adversary knows that if your mind stays clear and peaceful, you will walk into your true purpose. So he bombards your thoughts with anxiety, shame, and endless mental chatter from morning until night. He keeps your spirit so overwhelmed by past regrets that you cannot hear my whispers of hope. You try to pray harder and strive more, but the mental fatigue only grows heavier. You feel like the receiver inside your soul is completely blocked by world noise. Because I see your weariness, I have not left you without a divine provision in this battle. I have not abandoned you to fight the noise of the enemy using only your empty human strength. I have guided wise minds to create a specific instrument of restoration to help clear that static from your thoughts. I aligned an earthly tool that works with sound to quiet the storm inside your head. I am going to show you exactly what this provision is before this message ends. Do not let the enemy convince you that you are helpless against the noise in your mind. I have already prepared the way for your thoughts to return to absolute clarity and calm. The interference that has clouded your decisions and stolen your sleep is about to be shattered completely. You do not have to strive or earn this peace, because it is my gift to you. Stay with me as I reveal how this provision uncovers your true path. You have spent so many years grieving over opportunities that slipped through your fingers. You look at the calendar and feel a sudden panic that time is running out for you. You see others moving ahead into their dreams while you feel trapped in the exact same place. You wonder if the best chapters of your life were used up before you even realized it. But I declare to you that I am the Lord over time itself. There was a young dreamer in ancient times who was thrown into a dark pit by his own brothers. He sat in the damp dirt and wondered why his faithful heart had led him to such a terrible place. He spent years in a cold prison cell while his youth seemed to vanish in forgotten darkness. He had done nothing wrong, yet he carried the heavy weight of an unfair delay. But I was not absent from his dark cell, and I was not late. That dark pit was not his burial ground. It was my secret preparation room for a royal throne. I was building a strength inside his character that no earthly comfort could have ever forged. The delay he endured was not a punishment from my hands. It was my precise protection that kept him safe until the exact moment his destiny was ready. My child, your pit is serving the exact same holy purpose today. I know it is hard to trust when your physical eyes only see dry bones and broken walls. I know your heart feels tender and bruised from so many disappointments in a row. You have built up walls around your heart to protect yourself from getting hurt ever again. You hesitate to hope for good things because you fear the sharp pain of another closed door. But I am asking you to lower your armor and let me in. I am not coming to inspect your performance or to list your many flaws. I am coming as a loving father to bind up the wounds you have carried in secret. I am holding your fragile heart in my hands with infinite gentleness right now. Let the tears fall if they need to flow, because tears are the way your soul releases the pressure. Every single tear is washing away a lie that the enemy spoke over your identity. You are sitting at the threshold of a massive spiritual release that will redefine your future. The dark cloud of guilt that convinced you that you ruined. My plan is beginning to dissolve. You are about to understand why every closed door was actually my hand rescuing your soul. Do not turn away now, because I am about to address the silent doubts that still linger in your mind. I know you still have questions in your heart about the prayers that seem to go unanswered. You are wondering why I stayed silent during your darkest night when you cried out for help. Stay right here with me for the next few minutes as I answer the exact question you were afraid to ask. What I am about to reveal will completely transform the way you look at your past. I know the quiet thought sitting in the back of your mind right now. You are listening to my words and feeling a flicker of hope. But a small whispering voice inside you is pulling you back. You are thinking to yourself that you have heard promises like these before. You prayed passionately in the past and you believed with all your heart, yet the disaster happened anyway. You wonder why this time would be any different. My beloved child, that doubt inside you does not make me angry. It simply tells me how deeply you have been hurt by the waiting season. You are afraid to trust me again because you fear the devastating sting of disappointment. You feel like you reached out your hands in faith, only to receive a heavy silence from heaven. So you built a thick wall around your heart to protect yourself from expecting another miracle. Let me speak directly to that quiet suspicion sitting in your spirit. My silence in your dark season was never a sign of my rejection. While you were sitting in the dark crying out for an immediate answer, I was actively rearranging things you could not see with your human eyes. There were answers I withheld because a yes in that exact season would have completely destroyed your future. I was not ignoring your pain. I was protecting you from a hidden trap. You look at your past choices, and you tell yourself that you ruined everything. You believe that if you had made better decisions, you would not be sitting in this dry wilderness today. But hear me clearly right now, in the deepest place of your soul. Your mistakes are not powerful enough to cancel the destiny I wrote for you before time began. Human weakness can never override divine sovereignty. If you are ready to release the heavy burden of trying to understand every delay, take a bold step of faith right now. Write, "I trust your timing," in the comments below. Speak those words as a holy agreement between your weary soul and my eternal promise. Let that declaration anchor your heart as we unmask the real purpose behind your longest seasons of waiting. Look back through the long corridors of holy history and see how I work with those I love. There was once a young man named Joseph, whom I loved dearly. I placed a glorious dream inside his young heart and showed him a future of immense authority and honor. He was faithful and pure, and his spirit overflowed with innocent trust in my word. Yet soon after receiving that dream, his entire world collapsed into utter darkness. His own brothers turned against him with bitter jealousy and hatred. They stripped him of his colorful coat and threw him into a dry, dusty pit in the desert. He sat in the damp dirt of that dark hole and listened to the cold laughter of his own family above him. He cried out into the silence and asked me why I allowed such terrible cruelty to touch his life. He had done nothing wrong, yet he was betrayed by the very people he loved. They sold him as a slave to passing merchants, and he was carried away into a strange land in heavy chains. For 13 long years, Joseph lived as a servant in Egypt, separated from his home and surrounded by foreign gods. He served faithfully in the house of his master, maintaining his integrity even when temptation stood right in front of him. Yet his righteousness was met with false accusations, and he was dragged away to a dark underground prison. Can you imagine the suffocating weight that pressed upon his spirit in that damp cell? He sat in the dark for years while the iron chains bruised his feet. He replayed his life over and over in his mind while wondering if his young dreams were just foolish illusions. He watched seasons pass and wondered if I had forgotten his name in that forgotten dungeon. Every morning he woke up to the same cold stone walls and heavy iron bars. He felt the exact same sharp sting of abandonment that you felt when your life fell apart. He wondered why a faithful life had led him to a place of complete isolation and powerlessness. But my child, hear what I am telling you today. I was not absent from that Egyptian prison, and I was not standing far away from his tears. I was standing right beside him in the damp gloom, weaving a royal destiny behind the scenes. If I had rescued Joseph from the pit, he would have remained a spoiled boy in the house of his father. If I had answered his prayers for an easy escape from the house of his master, he would have returned home as an ordinary shepherd. He needed the forging fire of the prison to build a character strong enough to carry the weight of an empire. I was preparing the man who would save entire nations from a devastating famine. The prison was not his grave. It was my sacred preparation room. The iron chains on his feet were not punishments, but tools that forged iron in his spirit. While he thought he was forgotten, heaven was coordinating the exact timing of the dreams of the king. And when the appointed hour arrived, I pulled Joseph out of the dungeon in a single day and placed him on the royal throne of Egypt. My child, look at your own wilderness through the lens of the journey of Joseph today. What you have called a tragic waste of time was actually my precise shaping ground for your future authority. You thought you were rotting in a dark pit because of your bad decisions or the betrayal of others, but I allowed the pit to isolate you so I could strip away your reliance on human strength and earthly validation. You could not step into the high calling I designed for you while holding on to shallow security. I had to let the temporary structures crumble so you would build your foundation on my unshakable presence. The closed doors were not signs that I was angry with your stumbles. They were my strong hands pulling you away from rooms that would have ruined your soul before your time. Stop looking back at the years you spent in the wilderness with bitterness and deep regret. Stop telling yourself that those silent seasons were empty gaps where nothing good was accomplished. I was counting every single day you spent in the dark, and not a single tear was wasted in my sight. I was storing up strength inside your spirit that will sustain you through the massive open doors ahead. The enemy tried to convince you that your waiting season was proof of your failure. He wanted you to believe that everyone else was moving forward while you were left behind in the dust. But I am telling you today that you are not behind. You are simply being positioned for a breakthrough so sudden and complete that it will leave the onlookers in absolute awe of my grace. You did not break my plan for your life because my blueprints are written in heaven and sealed by my power. Every setback you endured was turned into a setup for a divine demonstration of my glory. What the enemy intended for your ultimate destruction, I am turning around right now for your absolute deliverance. The very story you were ashamed to tell will become the powerful testimony that heals others. Breathe in my peace right now, and let the suffocating cloud of guilt leave your spirit. You do not have to fight for your future, or manipulate human doors to open for you. The same God who held Joseph in the dark prison is holding your life in his hands today. I am moving behind the scenes in ways your physical eyes cannot yet perceive. Stay right here with me as we step into the next part of this message. I am about to break open the hidden mechanism behind your mental fatigue and reveal how your soul can finally find total rest. The moment of your spiritual breakthrough is standing right before you, and I need you to be wide awake to receive what I am about to release over your life. My child, look at me right now with your full attention. I need to reveal the exact mechanism behind the deep exhaustion that has been draining your spirit for so long. You have lived for years with a constant feeling that you are running out of time. You wake up early, and you search your past memories for the one mistake that derailed your entire existence. You look at the good things you have built, and you feel nothing inside your heart. Your mind goes straight to what is still missing and what is still broken. You have called this habit being a perfectionist. You have told yourself that you simply have high standards for your work and your life. But I am telling you today that those explanations are lies from the enemy. Here is the true mechanism of what you are fighting inside your soul every single day. Long ago, in a moment of deep emotional pain, you learned a dangerous lesson. You learned that love had to be earned by performance. You believed that you were only safe when you were useful to others, and you convinced yourself that your worth depended entirely on your achievements. I call this spiritual scar the earning wound. It is not your authentic character or your true identity. It is a deep wound from a season when you felt entirely unprotected by the people around you. That unhealed scar has forced you to carry a heavy burden that I never asked you to bear. You have been striving to earn what I offered to you as a free gift. So all those long years when you thought you were a failure, you were actually fighting a lie. You were not failing at all. You were trying to satisfy a harsh voice that told you, my love depended on your perfection. Every night you lay awake trying to fix your past choices, you were merely guarding that hidden wound. But I am taking that heavy lie from your spirit today. You do not have to earn the infinite grace that I pour over your life. My love for you was settled in heaven before you ever made a single earthly decision. You can stop performing for me right now. You can stop trying to impress a world that will never be satisfied with your sacrifices. Breathe in my peace and let your tired spirit rest in my arms. I have watched how the constant static of this spiritual battle has clouded your thoughts. You sit down in silence to pray, but your mind instantly races with loud echoes of fear and doubt. You want to feel my presence, but the mental chatter in your head drowns out my quiet voice. You feel like a radio receiver that has been jammed by the noise of the world. When I designed your physical brain at the creation of the world, I placed a sacred signal within it. Scientists who study the human mind call this special signal the gamma brainwave. It ran freely within your mind when you were a little child. It allowed you to trust purely, live completely in the present moment, and receive my inspiration without any mental effort. The enemy recognized the power of that divine frequency inside your mind. He used the heavy pressures of adult life, financial worries, and constant busyness to bury that signal under layers of noise. The enemy wanted to keep your mind in a permanent state of survival and anxiety. He wanted you to believe that your mind was permanently broken and unable to find rest. But because I see your deep weariness, I did not leave you without help in this battle. I guided wise minds to work with sound in the exact way that I designed it. They built a frequency instrument that clears the static interference from your brain. It returns the exact gamma signal that I placed inside your mind from the beginning of your creation. You do not have to work for this restoration. You do not have to master complex mental techniques or struggle through hours of forced meditation. You simply surrender for 7 minutes with headphones over your ears and eyes closed. You allow my natural design to clear the static and restore what the enemy tried to steal from your daily life. I am going to show you exactly where to find what those wise researchers built before this message ends. This provision is not a worldly trick or a superficial product. It is an earthly tool that I align to help your weary mind settle into absolute stillness. When the noise clears, my voice becomes crystal clear to your spirit once again. I know what you are thinking in the quiet corners of your heart right now. You are wondering if your specific situation is too far gone for such a simple restoration. You are thinking that your past mistakes created a permanent mark that can never be erased. You feel like everyone else can be healed, but your story is the one tragic exception. My child, let me silence that lie before it steals another moment of your peace. You are not the exception to my mercy. Your story is unique, but there has never been a wound so deep that my grace could not reach deeper. I do not pour my blessings on the deserving. I pour my blessings on the willing, and your willingness to listen today is your qualification. Now, listen carefully to what I am declaring over your life in this very hour. Hear me with the absolute authority of the one who spoke light into total darkness. The long season of your drenching sorrow and quiet shame is officially ending. The heavy cloud that has kept your spirit trapped in constant regret is breaking apart right before your eyes. I am breaking the authority of every lie that told you your best days were buried in the ruins of yesterday. I am unsealing the great doors that were locked against your progress for years. What I open today, no human hand or demonic force will ever be able to close again. You are stepping across the threshold into a season of complete spiritual reversal. If your spirit is rising up to claim this divine breakthrough right now, take your step of faith. Write, "I receive my healing," in the comments below. Speak those words out loud as a holy agreement between your soul and my promise. Seal your declaration right here, as the final chains of your past fall away into nothingness. You thought you were breaking into useless pieces during that terrible storm, but you were being reshaped. Every spiritual battle you fought in secret was proof that your life carries a high purpose. The enemy did not attack you because you were failing or weak. He targeted your mind with exhaustion because he saw the undeniable light of my destiny rising inside you. Look at the ruins of your past once more, but see them through my eyes today. What you thought broke everything was never your final destruction. It was the protective ruin. I allowed those unsafe human structures to collapse so I could save your soul from a hidden trap. I removed what was temporary so I could build an unshakable foundation inside your spirit. The delay was never my rejection of your prayers. It was my absolute protection over your future. You did not ruin my plan for your life because my master blueprint was drawn before the foundation of the world. Not a single line of your divine destiny has been erased by your stumbles, your tears, or your seasons of weakness. The heavy rain has stopped, my beloved child. The long, dark night of your soul is officially over. The morning light of your complete restoration is breaking over your horizon right now. You are no longer the victim of your past mistakes or the prisoner of your painful memories. Stand up tall and lift your eyes to my face with unshakable confidence. You are my chosen cycle breaker and my light bearer in a dark world. The exhaustion you endured has given you a deep compassion that cannot be manufactured by human hands. The secret battles you fought in the dark have given you spiritual authority that comfort could never produce. Your formation in the wilderness is complete, and your true story begins today. Breathe in my peace, and let every remaining thread of anxiety leave your mind. I am already standing in your tomorrow, clearing the path and preparing the blessings that are about to overtake you. Stay right here with me for just a moment longer, as I hand you the final key to your restoration. The door to your full provision is standing wide open right now. I have gifted humanity the wisdom to unlock what I placed within sound at the beginning of creation. Wise men and women spent decades in scientific research without fully realizing that it was my hand quietly guiding their curiosity toward what I had already designed. I directed researchers at great universities like Princeton and Columbia to confirm the sacred gamma wave in the human mind. They proved that this frequency opens the mind to pure receptivity and deep peace. Before I show you where to find this provision, I want to show you two of my children who received it before you arrived at this exact moment. I want to tell you about one of my precious daughters named Rachel. She was a dedicated nurse who sought my peace for many painful years through endless striving, fasting, and intense spiritual effort. Yet her mind remained filled with static noise, and her home was heavy with constant relational strain and exhausting fear. 2 weeks after receiving this sound provision, something broke open in her life. Her marriage was completely restored, her daily fatigue lifted, and she described her mind as clear and enchanted. She declared that the channel that was once blocked had finally been opened by my grace. And for others, I moved differently. I want to show you what I did for one of my faithful sons named Michael, who was carrying heavy burdens. He came to this provision because his mind was exhausted by financial worries and his children were struggling to find focus in school. 2 months after receiving this gift, his business expanded so greatly that he left his daily struggle behind. Hard problems that used to steal his sleep began solving themselves while he rested. He declared that his brain was finally running on the exact frequency I designed from the start. Over 18,000 of my children have already stepped into this restoration before you arrived today. They call this instrument the Genius Song. It is a sacred frequency track engineered to restore the gamma signal that I placed inside your brain before the world trained you to live in fear. It is not a generic meditation app or a background soundtrack that you can find on music streaming platforms. Those streaming tracks are imitation noises created by human hands that carry none of the precise restoration I designed into this tool. This provision requires only 7 minutes of your day. You simply place headphones over your ears, close your eyes, and surrender the mental noise. You are not striving or trying to perform a complex spiritual technique. You are merely surrendering your thoughts to me in complete stillness. You allow the original frequency I placed in your mind to return. When you quiet the enemy static, my voice becomes recognizable again, and your mind returns to the receptive state of a little child. This provision was not aligned for those who are merely curious about spiritual things. It was prepared specifically for you, my weary warrior, who has fought so hard in silence for so long without seeing relief. I know you are listening to me right now while carrying the heavy memory of everything you have tried in the past. You tried intense discipline, endless affirmations and long prayers, yet the dark cloud of mental fatigue always returned to cloud your vision. Hear me clearly, my beloved child, who feels embarrassed to hope one more time. What failed you in the past required your own human effort and willpower. Human effort and endless mental striving will always leave your spirit feeling completely drained. But this provision requires no effort from your empty hands. I designed this tool to work not because of your perfect discipline, but because of my divine design inside your mind. You do not have to earn this breakthrough, because it is a gift I am placing directly on your path today to set you free. Earthly experts charge hundreds of dollars for a single session to help human minds reach this state of peace. The complex laboratory equipment that researchers use costs thousands of dollars to operate. But I am not calling you to enter a clinic or pay a fortune to earthly institutions. I place this provision within your reach for a small earthly exchange, the size of a mustard seed of investment for your future. A small act of trust is all I ask for the massive harvest I have prepared for your life. When you accept this provision today, I have also aligned 4 additional gifts to bless your entire household. You will receive a special audio tool designed to restore focus and confidence in your children, so the generational cycle of fear ends with you. You will also receive the original text of divine abundance to guide your steps. You will receive a guided visualization from a trusted voice and a daily guide to help your spirit stay anchored in my continuous flow. Where I place divine truth, the enemy always places subtle imitations to lead my children astray. Do not wander into unverified platforms or fake tracks under similar names that will only steal your peace. Protect your spirit by accessing only the verified provision on your path. Access the verified provision that I have placed below in the pinned comment and video description. Walk forward into this restoration without a single grain of fear. This step of faith requires no worldly risk, because your earthly exchange is completely protected for 60 full days. If this tool does not bring the profound mental clarity and quiet peace I described, every single penny is returned to you. Every single penny is returned without question, because I do not lead my children into danger or financial loss when they step out in obedience to my voice. Take this step of obedience right now, my child. Embrace the provision I have set before you at this exact moment in time. Find the official path waiting for you below in the pinned comment and in the video description right now. This is your personal invitation from heaven, so do not let distraction steal this moment away from your life. Now, my beloved child, set aside the noise of decisions for a moment and breathe in my presence. I have revealed the provision I placed on your path, but my love for you remains unshakable regardless of what you choose. Close your physical eyes right where you are sitting in this quiet room. Let your shoulders drop completely and feel my peace wrapping around your heart like a warm mantle. You are safe with me. Declare these sacred truths in the quiet sanctuary of your soul right now. Say to yourself, I am a vessel fully restored to receive what my Father prepared for me. I carry the sacred frequency He placed inside me from the beginning, and it is now fully restored. The loud noise of the enemy no longer has authority over my thoughts, and I step forward in absolute peace. If this holy message has brought light to your weary soul today, seal this moment with me. Like this video, as an act of agreement between your spirit and my presence, share this message with 3 souls who are secretly crying out for hope in the dark so they can be set free. And subscribe to this channel so you never miss the daily guidance I am preparing for your next steps. I am walking beside you always, and my healing over your life has officially begun. Be at peace, my child, for I am holding your future in my hands forever and ever.